We spend the first 20 or sometimes more years of our life trying to figure out, who do I want to be? What really drives me? What really satisfies me? And you really can actually take your key motivators or driving forces in your life and kind of boil them down to about 6 potentials. Most of us are really motivated by one key thing, one key category, that are supported by the other 5 in some degree. These 6 categories can be broken down in the following definitions. Number 1, utilitarian. A highly utilitarian person is someone who's driven for ROI, return on investment. They want to make sure that all the efficiency of their time, the effectiveness of what they're doing as far as return on money, and just the resources they're gaining are really worth it. They're absolutely motivated by making sure every single interaction, everything they're doing is bringing a utility to it. You'll know these people because if you're in a conversation and you start to ramble, they're the first ones to pick up their phone and look at it. The majority of Americans are highly utilitarian. Marketers figured this out a long time ago. That's why the majority of marketing in America is driven to the bottom line. Saving money, saving time. This is what's important to everyone, right? Wrong. It is what's important to the vast majority of Americans. It's usually in one of their top 2 motivators, but it's actually not what's important to everybody. It's also not what's important to a lot of people overseas. So it's important to remember when dealing with other cultures, they're not all as utilitarian. Second category of motivator is theoretical. These are people who are driven for the sense of learning. Now we all want to learn. High utilitarian people want to learn how to make money. They enjoy learning, but a high theoretical person wants to learn solely for the sake of learning. They could just sit in front of the Discovery Channel all day long and be okay. They're literally motivated just reading books. High theoretical people also need to understand things in order to be motivated to do it. Just like high utilitarian people need to see the ROI in something in order to do it. These motivators are not just effective to help you enjoy things more, but they're requirements for you to be engaged. So if you can figure out one of your top 2 motivators, that search for what should I be doing with my life is over. Because all you have to do is press that motivator button over and over again. So we've covered utilitarian and theoretical. Next on the list is aesthetic. This is the weirdest of the motivators. It's the hardest to pin down. It's not as easy as the other 5. A high aesthetic person is really seeking harmony and balance in their life. A lot of times, unfortunately, they never really feel like they fit anywhere because they're always looking for the other side of the coin. They're kind of like seesaws. So if a high aesthetic person's on a team, they're motivated for harmony and balance. So if the team is rah, rah, let's go in one direction, the high aesthetic is like, well, hold on, guys, I think we really need to consider the other move. Why? Because they're motivated to find harmony and balance. So a lot of times they feel like they don't fit because they're just looking for more and more harmony and balance. There's no end to the level of motivation. There is no I've arrived. There is a I'm satisfied in my motivation here, but we're still always looking for more. That's the beauty of motivation. So that's the high aesthetic. There's some unique things with them, and you'll find them most of all in Eastern cultures, places like India, Asian cultures. You'll find more of the aesthetic. They tend to be primarily aesthetic. You'll often find an aesthetic person on a yoga mat. That's how you'll know. The next motivator that we'll touch on is high individualistic. And I keep saying high, meaning if you have a high level of motivation in this category, this is going to really stand out to you. Some people are more engaged in these motivators than others, but everyone has a number 1, number 2, number 3. They go in order. A high individualistic person is really driven for control and recognition. Usually one or the other more, either control or more recognition. But they're driven for a sense of control to some degree. These are people who would rather have the trophy than the paycheck. High individualistics are control freaks. They're absolutely demotivated by management. They want autonomy all the time, and they tend to operate best and most effectively under autonomy. There's those unique salespeople, for example, that can just work on their own, and you don't have to worry about them actually completing the job. They're not going to just go to the beach instead of going to work. They actually want to have the control over their life, and they'll take advantage of it. That's your high individualistic. After individualistic, we've got high social. A high social person is not a social butterfly, but they're socially driven, as in social cause. These are people who are really trying to make an impact with others. They're really driven to change the world. They've got a cause in mind. High social people are often challenging industries to do more. They really want to make sure that they just make an impact in absolutely everything they do for the better. It tends to be quite selfless in what they're trying to do. It's not always about them. It really depends on how individualistic they are in their arrangement of motivators. Last but not least is traditional. The high traditional person is someone who has a rigid system of beliefs that they operate within. They are structure people. They love structure, according to a real rigid system of right and wrong. The category actually used to be named religious, and it used to be one of the most common motivators in American society, and it continues to become less and less, while the aesthetic motivator actually becomes more and more. The high traditional person will be very adamant about causes no matter what their behavior style is. If you cross their belief system, you're going to hear about it because it is a hill they will die on. They are great within organizations that are highly structured. You find them a lot in the military or in organizations that hire a lot out of the military because structure itself motivates them. So they're always looking for more. If you've got a high traditional person in your organization and you've got a real progressive high performance culture, like a Silicon Valley type culture, and you've got a high traditional there, they're going to be miserable, even if they love what you do. See, that's the unique thing with motivators. It doesn't really matter necessarily what you do. We're always looking for that company or that thing we enjoy. We want to work, say, with computers, so I'm going to go work at Apple then because I love computers. And then you get to Apple and realize I'm a high traditional guy. Apple's not where I need to be at all. I mean, this place is organized like a startup. So the high traditional is miserable even though he's doing computers. And what does he do then? He goes, well, I'm not going to do computers anymore. I'm going to go do something else. Wrong move. This is the cultural thing that we need to know about ourselves and the companies we're looking at. Or companies, this is the cultural thing you need to recognize as you hire people. These motivators are more important than what we do when you want motivated people. So think about the definitions I just gave you. Think about what you think most motivates you. If you can uncover what your top number one or maybe even your top two motivators are, all you need to do is find more ways to press that button every single day. So if you're a high social, if you're like, man, he was talking about a social cause, I realized that was me. Find that in your workplace, find that at home, find that somewhere, but make sure you're staying motivated. It sends ripples into your life everywhere, as long as you're hitting that button every single day.